All right. I started filming this earlier and then I ended up having to stop. So we're back again for round two. So I'm just going to start over. Basically, what happened is yesterday I was scrolling through YouTube to find some new content, just something different. I just wasn't feeling like any of my normal stuff and I wasn't feeling listening to my audiobook. So I often will go through and kind of let YouTube recommend me things. This was on my home feed and it was called BookTok Girls Have All the Same Shelf. And I was like, okay, I don't mind a good critique of BookTok, of BookTube, of any book social media space because it's a space I'm part of. And I don't mind a critique. I enjoy one. And this critique, I really liked some of it, but some of it I really felt was kind of unwarranted or uneducated, maybe. I just disagreed with some of it. So I am going to push this back a little bit. I want to participate in this discussion because I think there was some of it that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. She says this is a curmudgeonly kind of good-natured video, and I get that. That's totally fine. And I agree. Like it's fine to have like an opinion on something, and also anything that I say, I don't control what you do. As long as you're not hurting anybody with your money, do whatever you want to do with your money. Unless you're a billionaire, and then I hate you. Okay, so this is a comment I see all the time, right? And so she says that she couldn't get BookTok to show her videos on books that weren't ACOTAR or Fourth Wing. I'm not really on BookTok. I'm on TikTok in general, but I follow some book creators and books come up on my feed. I'm on a lot of different subspaces in TikTok. I never post. I don't reshare. I don't do any of that. I just watch, and I will occasionally save, or comment on things so that the algorithm knows I want more of those things. I save a lot of recipes. I save a lot of sewing tutorials and crochet tutorials and things like that. So I get a lot of those videos. The book videos that I get, I will like them if I like that creator and I like their content, I like what they're saying, so that the algorithm gives me more things, or I'll comment if it's a smaller account so that it helps push their content to the algorithm, especially if it's an account I like or a comment that I like, right? So I don't get any videos about ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Throne of Glass. I don't get any of those videos because I don't watch them. When they come up on my feed, when they did come up on my feed, I held down on the screen and said not interested, so that I didn't get those videos, because I'm not interested in those books. So I followed creators who read books that I am familiar with, and then will talk about books that are related to those books and give me better recommendations. You have to follow people or engage with the content for the algorithm to change what it gives you. If you're watching all of those ACOTAR and Fourth Wing videos, it's going to keep giving them to you because you are spending time watching them. My boyfriend has a very different TikTok feed than I do. He does not he doesn't comment, he doesn't save, he does not follow one single person on TikTok. He just watches whatever comes across his feed that he enjoys, and his feed is then shaped by how long he spends watching videos of certain type. So he gets a lot of political content. He's always telling me what bullshit the GOP Congress did today. He gets a lot of cooking videos. He'll send me sometimes, so that does show up in the algorithm as he's interested in maybe that, because he's like, hey, this could be something we could try, type of things, right? So his content is different than mine. But he's not engaging with it in the same way that I am for the algorithm to send him similar things, right? So if you want the algorithm to show you things that are not the popular things, don't engage with the things you don't want it to show you. So if you go in and you search, if I went in and I searched Robin Hobb, I would get more Robin Hobb videos. But I haven't searched books on TikTok. I scrolled across, I was scrolling, and someone was talking about Gideon the Ninth, and I was like, oh yes, like that, and listened to their breakdown of this one specific line and what they thought it meant, and guess what? I got more videos like that because I liked it and I watched it through to the end. So I'm getting more content like that. And then I get other videos that come up that were like, if you like Gideon the Ninth, you should read this. And now I know a bunch of stuff about Arcane because people are like, I forgot it all, I need to watch it. But anyway, that's how it works, okay? So if you don't want to engage with Fourth Wing or ACOTAR, don't engage with it, and TikTok will give you different things. These are not the biggest BookTok accounts, but they exist. So this is not understanding the platform that you're on. So this is the part that I hated, right? So she says that everyone has the same shelves, and a lot of the bigger accounts do. And we've been having discussion on Threads lately about people complaining about diversity and then having those neon ACOTAR books right behind them, right? I went to my feed and I looked through the people that I follow, and I'm going to put some screenshots of either their videos, if they don't have like a lot of stills with their backgrounds, just a screenshot with the background of a bookshelf up here, because these are the people that I follow and they don't have that. Here's an example. One of the bigger accounts that I follow, Tori Morrow, I follow her on YouTube as well. Her account, her shelves don't have those books on them. At least not front and center. They might be there. I don't know. But she doesn't talk about those books, so they're not there. The thing is your bookshelves often show the books that you're talking about. Like my bookshelves behind me is usually my Gideon copies, if you can see my bookshelves. Or it's the random horror shelf because I need to like rearrange my heights. But I'm not a big account. The big accounts have those books because they talk about those books, and they get a following because they talk about those books. Because those are the most popular books. Like if you look at sellers, those books are selling. So people are reading them. People are looking for content about them. People are looking for people who like those books. So they're spot checking for what's in the background to be interested in following that creator. An aesthetic background has been a thing in social media spaces for a very long time. Like as long as I have existed on these types of spaces, people have created backgrounds that give the vibe of what they're trying to do, even if it's just with the lighting. Like I don't like the whole BookTok would never allow you to have mass market paperbacks. Do you know how many like large accounts that I follow that have mass market paperbacks? Like the sprayed edges thing is a whole different conversation, right? Because it's something that people want to talk about, like in the form of consumerism and things like that. If you want to collect books, collect books. I view if you have those books as you are a collector. Whether you're collecting the leather bound, like she said, or these sprayed edges, you're collecting. And people are going to post what they are collecting if they are collecting things. I do agree with that. That's what I was saying too. And so I agree that these are what people are reading, so it's what they are showing, right? And so she's like, oh, the candy colored rom-coms. That's what they're reading. That's what they're talking about. They are talking about rom-coms. Romance is the biggest book selling genre. It consistently is year over year. So if people are reading it, of course they're going to be showing it. They're going to be buying them. They're going to be showing them off. They're pretty. It's a very different type of aesthetic to have that bright colored background. And I love the people who do it. I love that they can do that. And I love the dark goth girlies. And I love how people show what they are reading and their personality through whatever is in their background. Look, this is my chaos background, okay? This is me just, I don't care right now. That is the energy of my videos, it is what it is. This is my work desk. I still have my planner open in the background because I didn't choose to close it. I don't think it's as much of like a planned thing as she thinks it is, or as she's implying that it is, because there are people that I've seen that have those shelves and have all of the brightly colored books and everything there, and they don't have half as many followers or a tenth of as many followers. But they're reading the same books and they're talking about the same things, so they are having them in their background. Okay, so this is something where I was listening to this while I was driving, and I was like, what do you mean the only books available were mass market paperbacks, when you just talked about how there were these like special editions back in the like well older than any of us are, back in the, she's like talking about the early 1900s and the late 1800s. There were books back then. There were books, like I have some hardbacks on my shelf that came out in the 70s and 80s, and they were always released in hardback. And then there was mass market paperbacks. Mass market paperbacks right now are not as popular as they used to be, and I have seen a couple articles talking about how they're dying. They're dying with the death of the Harlequin romance books, right? And so that's a whole other thing. But mass market paperbacks were not all that was available. It's just that is what I could afford at the time. Like, the hardbacks that I have that came out back then are ones that I found at the thrift store. There were special edition books that were coming out. I remember going to Barnes & Noble and drooling over the Barnes & Noble Penguin Classics with the cloth covers. Those were out. I just was like, I don't have the money to spend on them because I was in my early 20s. I was a teenager. I did not have the job that I could afford to spend money like that on books that looked pretty. I bought the $7 mass market paperback because that's what I could spend money on. And I knew I was going to be carrying it around and reading it. And I didn't want to have a fancy cloth bound book to carry around and read where I knew I was going to spill coffee on it. It was going to get dog hair on it. It was probably going to go on a city bus. I didn't want to do that with those. So I spent the money on the paperback that I was going to be reading and carrying around. They weren't meant to be destroyed. It was just that they were a small investment. And I actually think they're pretty well made because I have some still that I bought thrifted, and the glue on those is peak. It is holding together, and those books were published in like 1998, and the glue on them is held together. Where one of my new releases, when I bought La Belle Sauvage, I read it in the sun and it was like 92 degrees and the glue started melting and I had to take it inside because I couldn't read it outside because the pages were falling out. And that was a recently published book, like 7 years ago. And the glue was melting and the pages were falling out and I couldn't read it in the sunshine when it was 90 degrees outside. But I went in and I grabbed a mass market paperback that I had thrifted and brought outside. They were meant to hold up. Like, I don't have any with pages falling out. So this is the main thing about it that bothered me, is that was not what existed. That's just what we saw because that's the spaces that we were in at the time. That is the spaces that we were in, and that was the bubble that we were in, so that's what we saw. Because I don't think she's much older than me. Like, so I agree with this too. Like, I don't mind seeing a chaos bookshelf. I like seeing other people's bookshelves, but this is the thing too. She's talking about what she likes to see. So you need to follow people that are doing that. And that's the thing is these people are not chaos energy people. That's why they don't show it. Or they don't want to appear that way, right? They're trying to appear in a very specific way. I mean, you see my bookshelves in the back of my videos and they're not really organized. I have like a fantasy shelf, a sci-fi shelf, I haven't read it shelf, and a like horror shelf, but nothing within those shelves is really organized. I just stuck them up there because that is my energy lately. And this is very much like a do this because I like seeing this. And what is it? She says that she likes to see what people are interested in based on their bookshelves. And you can see that when someone has those books facing out, that's what they want you to see. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing that part of them. If someone has all their sprayed edges turned out, it's because they want to look at them. My bookshelf is for me. It's not like, yes, I use it as a background, but really it's for me. I have things organized in the way that I want them organized because I live here. I have to see them every day. And so it's like when you walk into someone's shelf and it's someone's house and look at their books, it's organized in the way that they want to be seeing it. And that's all this really is. So the special editions, they're book boxes. I bought one recently. I bought one for a book that I really liked when I read the arc of it. It was $32. It was the same price as the regular edition hardback. I bought the special edition because it was the same price. The big creators that have they get a lot of them sent to them for free. They're getting promotions. They're getting paid to do social media, and they're putting that money back into books. So there's different ways to do it. And again, just follow the people that have the shelves you want to follow. But the money part of it is, again, an entirely different conversation. And she's going to go into a little bit more on like what that means for people who watch them type of stuff. And that's not what I want to talk about necessarily. But like how people are getting their books. They might have a really good job. They might have a wealthy partner. They might just not buy any other things than just the books. They might get them for free. I have seen the special edition books for sale in my half price books. Some people get them and sell them for cheaper. Some people get them and sell them for more when they don't want them. But like I said, it was $32. I am not buying a ton of them. Like, I follow a couple people on Instagram and they spend however much money they spend to get 4 different subscription boxes a month. And that's their book budget. And so they have these books because they have the special edition book subscriptions. I think you can get some of them for as little as $40 a month. So if you have the money to spend extra into that, if you're living with your parents, if you're, like I said, you have a wealthy partner, you have a good job that you make their own money to, or you're getting them for free. Because some people, if you are a promoter. I think you either get it, like for certain ones, you either get that subscription for free that month or you get a discount on it. There's lots of different ways, and social media makes money. People who are making money on social media are not necessarily all using that as their like full-time income. Some people are just investing that right back into the books so that they can have those special books. I don't think it's that crazy, and I know there are some people that are taking out credit cards and spending tons of money on it, but that's not necessarily the conversation about this because I can have a ridiculously chaotic shelf and still be spending a ton of money on books. Like, I could be spending so much money on books and not be buying the special editions. Anyway, so I agree with her. Like, you don't have to feel like you have to do these things. And I love seeing diversity in people's bookshelves, diversity in what they're reading. I'm not a big romantasy and romance reader, but I do follow some people who read it because maybe I want to try every now and then. And I get what she's trying to say, but I think she got there in a way that I don't necessarily disagree with, because it feels like instead of being like, hey, there's a space for everyone in this community, it's like don't be like everyone else in order to be in this community. Like, it's a very weird way to put it. It kind of feels like why is no one paying attention to me? Why am I not like popular for not fitting in or whatever? And I don't know, it puts me off a little bit, even if I agree with the main message. I think the way that she went about it is just kind of like punching at the wrong thing, right? Where if you're like, I want the community to be really inclusive and I want people who don't necessarily the means to have the big shiny things to feel included in the community, but you do that by trying to like be like, oh, but I don't really like it when people do that. Like, everyone should be able to participate in the community the way that they want to participate in the community. And so I agree overall with what she said, but I think there were some ways that came off as like very, very judgy for very weird ways. I don't want to be a dick, but it gave me a little bit of like not like other girls vibes. Like, oh, not like other shelves. Like, my shelves aren't like your shelf because I actually read. Like, is kind of how it came off. And I'm not the biggest fan of that type of attitude. And I think like, if you want to have a conversation about the same, right? Everyone always talks about, oh, yay, it's not the same 5 books that I always see on BookTok. I couldn't tell you what those 5 books are because I'm not in the spaces where people are talking about them. I have like a grass seed in my hair from taking the dog out. I get frustrated when people act that way about it. And I think there's a different conversation to be had about the attempt to fit in and the attempt of sameness with the rise of fascism in the United States at the moment. But I don't think this conversation necessarily contributes to that. Like, I could have a conversation about that. We'd have a conversation about the rampant consumerism. People have been having conversations about the rampant consumerism in the book spaces and social media. But they've been referring to it as the TikTokification of things, where it's not. It's the consumerization. I don't know. It's the switch to everything being about consuming versus about the hobby or the enjoyment or the leisure activity. And I think I watched a couple videos recently about the like hobbies being more needed right now, and about how there's a weird trend in coming up where the consumption of things is the hobby. And that's generally just I believe, an artifact of our society being so focused on capitalism. So I agree with some of this. I disagree with some of it. I wish that she'd maybe gone about it a little bit differently in the way that she discussed it. And I mean, this is compared to me, a massive account. So clearly people like what she has to say and her commentary on things. So I don't know how this is going to go for me, but I'm not trying to be a dick here. And maybe I'm going to go back and say that in the beginning. I'm really not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to say that this is wrong. I'm just trying to participate in the conversation in a way that I know how to participate.